Hey everyone, second video for you guys today. So yeah, I saw Tron Ares last night, and I thought it was actually really decent. I saw Tron Legacy when it first came out back in like 2010, and I really enjoyed Tron Legacy. I even I had this toy. I had this disc toy from that film. I don't have it anymore, but I used to. I give off that kind of light effect on the little, in the blue light effect, and I had made the sounds, and it was kind of like a frisbee basically. It was a really cool toy that I had, and but yeah, Tron Legacy, I really enjoyed that film, and I liked the cast in that film, and it has been a long time coming for a new Tron movie. It really has. It has been so long. It has been 15 years since the last film, and I think there's a franchise that has potential to, you know, expand. It has a potential to expand because there are so many things that they could do for more films or TV shows. They did do a TV show, Tron Uprising, after Legacy came out, and I think I did see that actually on Disney XD. I, and I thought that was decent too for what it was, Tron Uprising. So yeah, and also the original film. What year did that? Was that 1985? I know it must have been around that time when the original film came out, and I thought this is an interesting film that came out in the 1980s, with the way that it looks and the setting and the way they kind of produced it. It was a weird looking film. But then, as time went on, technology got a lot more advanced. Within film and Hollywood, CGI got a lot more advanced as time went on, and then they made Tron Legacy, and then they made this new film, Tron Ares, and this will be my review for that film, Tron Ares. The best thing I could say about this film is the visuals and the soundtrack too. Nine Inch Nails, they killed it with the soundtrack for this film. It was like this neo-noir, hard disco kind of music, and it was really cool. I really enjoyed the soundtrack for this film. It was really exciting, and I think that in regards to action, it doesn't rely too much on action, but when there is action, it is worth it. It is. And it felt very visceral when it happened. It was really cool the way that they presented the action too, especially with the visuals of this kind of red neon looking look for these new Tron outfits that we're seeing on these CPU programs. And it was so fascinating. And also, I think in regards to the story, the original Tron film and Tron Legacy was a little bit more about humans entering the grid, right? And the grid was basically like a video game. It was humans entering the video game. Whereas here in this film, they do a few things differently, obviously, in regards to basically saying that what if we could have things from this video game world, from the grid, come to our world? But there's a catch to that because there's a bit of a time limit before these programs, these CPUs, are teleported back to the grid. And there are so many interesting ideas presented here that I did really like. It was really fascinating. And in regards to the cast, they have Evan Peters here. For those of you that know him, he played Quicksilver in the X-Men films. He was in American Horror Story. He's been a lot, and I think he's a really cool actor. And also Jared Leto. It was a much more subdued performance by Jared Leto than I was expecting, and I do like his performance here. I thought Jared Leto actually gave a pretty good performance, all things considered, for his character and the kind of program the kind of character that he was. It was really fascinating the way they did that. It was so cool. And then also, even though it's such a short cameo, like that is one little tiny little issue. I mean, granted, maybe they were gonna have more of Karen Monahan's character in this film, but they cut his character down very short. He was only in like this movie for like 1 minute, which is a major shame too, because I really like Cameron Monaghan as an actor. I mean, as you guys know, that have followed me the longest, I met Cameron Monaghan at last year's Fan Expo in San Francisco, and I was excited to see him in this movie, and he's only in this movie for like 1 minute at the very beginning. It was a major shame that he didn't get that big of a role, but it was at least a decent cameo. That's like what I can say about it. I just wish there was more of his character. They could have done something a little bit more, but alas, I do think that in regards to the story, it does repeat a similar kind of story as the Terminator films. It does. For those of you that saw my Megan 2.0 review and how I was confused by the direction of that film, I mean, this makes more sense. This makes more sense to go in a bit of a Terminator direction in regards to its story, and this is a franchise that kind of, it's science fiction action. That's the genre this is. So I expect that for a franchise like this, but not Megan. So I like it more here as a Terminator clone compared to Megan 2.0. So that's another thing I wanted to say here. I just think that, it kind of feels like, in a way, it feels a little bit like the Terminator movies, but in a way, I know Tron came first, but it also made me think of Spy Kids 3D Game Over. For those of you that may have seen the Spy Kids films, it reminded me of the third film, in a way, and it was kind of funny seeing basically a more mature kind of story that's similar to the Spy Kids films, but Tron came first. So yeah, it's kind of a funny thing there. But overall, I thought this was really solid, if you ask me. I thought it was really good. And I just think that, there are a few characters, like I said, that do get cut short, and there are some characters that are presented in a way that, like Evan Peters' character, who is basically like the villain of the film. I liked his character, while at the same time, they do something similar with his character that they do with characters in other franchises, like Dane DeHaan's Harry Osborn, for example, in the Amazing Spider-Man films. Like, that's actually what Evan Peters' character reminded me of. He reminded me of Harry Osborn from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I thought it was a decent film. I really did. I do think that I like the story of this film more than Legacy. And I think that, in regards to, the kind of creative visuals that they create here, that definitely feels like the legacy of this franchise done right on the big screen. And it really is this experience of a Tron film that you'd want in theaters on the big screen. That's another thing. You definitely want to see a movie like this in theaters. You really do. You want that kind of experience, and just seeing all these really crazy looking visuals in regards to the CGI, and it really is eye-popping. It's so fascinating the way that it's presented here in this film, especially with how they honor the original film. It's more so a follow-up to the original film than it is Legacy, but that's all I'm gonna say. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and if I had to give this a grade, I think I'd say about a B+. I don't think it's an A-grade film in it by any means, but I do think that it's very solid. For those of you that have seen the original film and Tron Legacy, you'll definitely find a lot to like about this film. It is really solid. So that is my review for Tron Ares. really good film. So that should do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.